Welcome, seekers and visionaries, to Oracle Mountain Chats. Here on this sacred virtual peak, we gather, a space for oracles to share their wisdom, their visions, and their craft. It all began with a calling I could not ignore. One day, within a vision, I held this conch shell in my hands, and as I blew its resonant note into the world, I felt its vibration ripple across unseen realms. It was a summons, a signal to fellow oracles scattered near and far. I saw that we were on a mountain, vast and towering, reaching into the heavens. At its base, the world buzzed with life, people moving, creating, searching. Yet at the summit, there was stillness, clarity, and a circle of light. There, oracles stood, their gaze focused both outward and inward. They spoke of the energies they felt, the shifts they saw, and the whispers of the unseen. They weren't above the world, they were its witnesses and its guides. From this vision, OracleFest was born, a celebration of connection, insight, and the timeless wisdom that flows through us all. Here we gather as oracles to share the visions Spirit whispers to us, to speak of the energy currents flowing through nature and humanity, and to help guide those who seek answers in a world that often feels lost. So grab a seat, breathe in the mountain air, and join us as we begin today's chat. Whether it's an energy reading, a conversation about our craft, our path, or simply sharing a perspective on the world below, this is where we wait for more oracles to join us on the mountain. What wisdom will the mountain bring us today? Let's find out together. Step into this sacred space where the wisdom of the ages converges with the questions of the present.
Beautiful. Okay, starting on a light, energetic note, because we're always giggling about how accurately the beginning of our conversations leads into exactly what we're here to talk about today on Oracle Mountain. Today we have a returning mountain me luminary, Terra
Yeah,
Kenzie. I haven't, I
Oracle.
yeah, I mean, I call you oracles or luminaries or speakers usually, but I was like, why didn't I use mountaineer yet? That just
Mountaineer. I'm feeling that.
Yeah, you've climbed Oracle Mountain twice now, so the strength is building.
Hmm.
And Terra Kenzie is going to be joining us in the November 1st transformation podium. And very appropriately, we were just chatting a whole bunch about what a season of transformation it currently is. So that's a big one to get started on. But I know that your medicine pillar for this transformation podium event will be heart alchemy. And so I thought you might demystify the word alchemy for us. I think we kind of know what the heart's about. We have a general understanding of the heart. But alchemy, I think, is one of those words. I always try and be like, I know that there's about 80% of us who are in the audience here who are just starting out on their oracle journey and on a spiritual journey in general. Because I did these feedback chats recently where I met with a whole bunch of people from our community. And so many of them, honestly, I had it tracked 80% are like, I'm just dipping my toe in. So, what on earth is alchemy for anyone who maybe hasn't come across that word and is trying to understand all these spirit language things?
Could we even demystify the word alchemy and just distill it? We could use the word distillation. So just to boil it down to its purest form, it is a form of transformation. And if we're talking about the heart alchemy, so we'll just even talk about potentially the theme of what we'll be doing in November, but it is a form of transformation where, let's say, for example, you are undergoing transformation. So internally, you might be thinking or feeling a specific way. You could have negative mind chatter. You could have self-doubt. You could just have these different thought forms, ideas, beliefs. So this is inner alchemy that might not support you. And then you're going through this alchemical process. You're going through transformation. You're allowing yourself to become aware that these thoughts, feelings, beliefs might not be supportive of you and open to the process. This can happen from receiving support from the external, connecting to God, source divine, or initiating steps within your life as the sovereign being that you are to create these shifts. to catch yourself, to become aware of these thoughts, feelings, ideas that aren't supportive of you, and then reframing them. So that could be a form of alchemy. But let's say you enter or you are in one state and you come out transformed into another. We can have physical transformations that are alchemical as well, even appearance-wise. So to just, I don't want to say dilute. We don't want to dilute the power of alchemy, but to simplify it. Because sometimes things are so complicated, and especially if you're just starting to explore your spiritual path or understanding these concepts, it gets overwhelming. So could we look at it as undergoing a transformational process where you are not the same as you were before? Your life is not the same as it was before. And sometimes it can feel miraculous in the ways that it happens. And sometimes it can be done in a very earthly grounded approach too. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
It's interesting because so like when I do these shamanic healing circles, which are a group healing format that I do within my shamanic work, which I don't bring online yet because it's only been an in-person practice to me. Well, actually, I have done some online ones, but as far as me leading them, and in those circles, my role in them as leader would be the alchemist. So it's interesting because I was like, you know what, I am around that word more often than I realize. And it's sort of the conductor of change and the leader in some way. It makes a lot of sense that the alchemist would be the person who is sort of the neutral change agent, helping the thing flow. And then, years ago, well, I still know today, but years ago, I was good friends with someone who considers themselves an alchemist, a more ancient way of working with elements of the earth, because that actually is kind of where this alchemy was like a
Origin.
practice, right? Of taking it's the practice of taking something into like making something from nothing in a way, because it's like making gold out of elements you wouldn't expect could somehow be formed to make that, and the breaking down of things so much and putting together of them that feels more mystical than lab or scientific. But I feel like there's a lot of similarities to alchemical work and science in some kind of way too. So those are my other kind of background pieces of where I put the word alchemy or alchemist in my mind. So I love this because transformation equals change in my mind, and I quite enjoy the idea of transformation. And yet, I know that many people don't, and it's not that they don't like when change has happened, because they actually love that.
Yeah.
The starting of change is very uncomfortable to a lot of people. So I have noticed this a lot. That I feel. Do you have a propensity for change? Did you change a lot, and have you always sort of?
Oh, girl. I want to do like a deep sigh. Change can be exciting and exhausting at times. However, I feel like I've always been open to change. Like you saying that reminded me of, I think, gosh, I was probably in high school or just out of high school and went on a journey and an adventure, and of course I changed. I was traveling and exploring, and I remember coming back and one of my friends felt uncomfortable because I had changed, and it was like, I don't know. I've always been open to change, even though sometimes there are circumstances or situations in our lives where change feels forced. Could we even just like call that out? There's self-initiated change, and then you've like been pushed, right? Your back's against the wall, and it's like, oh gosh, okay, things gotta change now. And that's a high percentage for many folks. I will raise my hand, but like where it's like the imposed universal force of change or the cataclysmic events that create change, but nonetheless, whether we feel like we're forced to change, or whether we're consciously choosing to change, what comes out of it is so rewarding. Maybe reward, I'm going to use the word rewarding, is so rewarding in its own rights and ways, but we might not see it when you're in the, oh shoot, change.
Shoots and ladders.
Yes. Oh my God. Hanging on for dear life.
Exactly. Well, that is what it feels like actually often. I think
Mhm.
I've realized this year, I've been now, we're just coming up on like a year of the OracleFest journey and
Yes.
like almost a year of me living nomadically and internationally, which is very absurd to have like started a new thing and then also just live totally differently. And it's taken me on all these adventures, right? And I just realized a few weeks ago.
Wait, can I pause you?
Please.
Okay, just only because you said it's really absurd, but that's like you and the human and our plans. And then, as we know, God, source, universe, divine, like whatever words we want to use, like they have the plans, they have the inspirations. So it could feel absurd, but is it?
So this is exactly where I was going. Right.
Okay.
To others, is what I'm trying to say is that
Okay.
this does look absurd. To myself, sometimes as an outside observer to my life, I go, well, how on earth did all of this happen? But I will say that, like, often when things are feeling really inspired like that, it is difficult because I can sometimes feel like it's decided for me. Like, I got no
Yes.
choice but to say yes to the callings of my heart. And I have felt that for a number of years. But that really came after a lot of time not quite trusting it fully and seeing how that would serve as a detriment to how I would feel and what things were like. And so to me, it's so obvious that the more that I change in accordance with where I'm feeling pulled, like the better I feel. And so now this year I've like, wow, I really feel a lot more grounded than one might expect living the way that I've been living. But I think it's because there's like a certainty, a much deeper certainty that probably a lot of people who are very early on their journey are sort of craving. And so I'm
Mm.
struck, how on earth did I get to a place of actually being able to see change and be thrilled about it? No matter if I knew any of the outcomes, I just have some hopes kind of lingering, some maybe that, please, that'd be cool, some really light kind of. And then there's really just like the magnificence of how things work out when we are saying yes in, like, I would call it an aligned way, and aligned being something that feels right for us, that feels like our heart and our mind and our body are all saying, yeah, that sounds great.
Undeniable.
Yes, undeniable is definitely, because we can doubt it, but we can't actually deny that the pull is there, right? I think swims in the whole first part of anyone's spiritual journey.
Oh, absolutely.
Bouncing off tool. It's like a necessary boundary of like we go up against doubt just to see how big the meadow is that we're playing with.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sitting right beside like a field. This metaphor has been really strong for me lately. But I was remembering how, like, I really did not come at this from a grounded place. It has resulted in that, but really it came from like a time of just being a little bit panicky, saying, I need to feel better. I need to feel more settled. I need to sort out my life. Something feels wrong. Something feels off. And I forget that that's actually like mostly how most people get to a spiritual awakening or journey in the first place. And so, like, so many people who are in our community are in this early stage feeling, and that's not all of our community. We certainly have many people in lots of different areas, and certain people have had a lot of experience in one area, but just the whole rest of the spiritual world is sitting there open for them, and they know it. And it's actually all that uncertainty that fuels even feeling the pulls in the first place, right? They say like you need fear to have courage, right? So when you're feeling scared, it's probably a good thing because the bravery and all of that comes after. You have to feel fear first. So yeah, tell me what is coming up for you.
Well, and I'm even feeling into what you were just saying. There's, so often society and perhaps ourselves. It's just like pushing. You have to be happy, you have to be joyful, and you need to be content, and blah blah blah. You can't be sad or miserable. However, it's in those moments of misery and discomfort where you start to actually look at yourself and your life, like where you start to sense this doesn't feel right. Maybe things felt right. Maybe you were going a specific path, and that was you at a different place in your life. But it's almost when that discomfort rises, that's where we were talking about this before, being disconnected. Sorry, y'all, you missed this. We're chatting before going live, but being disconnected from ourselves and spirit. And when you start to actually have those feelings of uncomfortability or misery, or like the longing and the yearning for more, even if it doesn't feel good and it's uncomfortable, that's the knock on the door to say, okay, so knock, knock, let me look, what's going on? And then you can explore initiating changes, or even be open to the idea that maybe things need to change or could change. But when we're all happy and like dancing in the meadow, flinging our hair and, picking flowers, we might not be looking at that. We could be in states of bliss, but at the same time, it's really comfortable being there. So it's almost the discomfort at times can open us to aspects of ourselves or potentials, dreams, desires, visions that we didn't even know were there until you get the knock on the door from your spirit, your soul.
The moment, the understanding moment here, because of course I've said for quite a while that like discontentedness is like a necessary part of like doing and feeling better, because you have to get to that place where you sort of look at your surroundings with like and my mother, when we were growing up, we moved, I think we were in 8 or 9 different houses by the time I was 18. Like it was a lot of different changes, and not a bunch of different cities, but just my mom, I could see her now. It's like she'd be sitting at home just like tapping her foot like, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, we gotta go. And some of that's restlessness. So of course a learned wandering pattern.
Imprinting.
But another part of it is like she actually did want better and more suitable for our family unit, right? So you could look at it one way of like, oh, she just always wanted to change and always wanted to move. Or you could actually look at it like we did grow every time. She was actually improving each of the houses to like for their design standard to be better. So we would, earn more. They would have a more settled retirement zone where I don't have to worry about them, right? Like that actually panned out really well. Probably people in her life, I would almost certainly imagine people in her life would throw out judgment for like her moving or us all moving. Oh, you shouldn't keep moving the kids, or oh, well, do you really have to, like what, just to get a nicer house or just to get a smaller house, or just to da 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 da. But really, like there was sort of like a mastery in her just feeling like, okay, I feel like this is time to change, and that there would be always something that would come up. She would scour, real estate, and if she didn't have a good feeling, she wouldn't say yes. There were like little things that I think you could see maybe where then now I judge my life that way. Well, I don't have to feel super rooted to anything, and I got used to change of location, so that's less uncomfortable for me than say some of my friends who have lived in their same house their whole lives.
Well, yeah, or their parents still have that house that they grew up in. It's like those roots or the anchor.
Exactly. And it's like only in that discontentedness with our surroundings that we actually find that next like layer of what feels more like us. And so to me, I realized like, oh, I'm actually a lot more okay with not being okay with things than I used to be. And it's just because at the time we think something's not okay, panic.
Right. Or judge it.
Yeah,
right? It's like panic and judging it, but it doesn't have to be judged. It is. And now it's catching your attention. You've got like the warning.
Totally. And that state doesn't have to stay around for long, because once you realize, oh yeah, this isn't actually the next evolution anymore, because a new one's coming in, like a new vision is arriving, right? say we've got the next 2 to 5 years downloading. Well, you kind of have to be uncomfortable with your current surroundings to even welcome in the idea that something would be different. Right?
Yes.
So that's just us being open, that there could be something that feels better or different than this. And I always say, if it's not this, so if something in your life right now is like, it's not this, then it's going to be better, because better is probably trying to find its way to you, or like can be grown. I love that saying, because that comes true. If it's not this, then it's better, and so that is what keeps us open to just seeing what is around the corner, rather than actually choosing and planning what is around the corner based on our wants. And that a lot of people do get change weird in that way, where they're not receiving or welcoming change. They're sort of like dictating.
Micromanaging.
Yeah,
right? And it's like, God, source, this is what we're doing, right? And then strong arming. Yeah. How does that work?
Talk about this year, because I feel like this year is such a year of change, and like the news cycle of like coming to endings. But we were just talking again before the call here about how it feels like actually a lot is opening up just in like the last stretch of this year. Yes. Right? We're in October now, and it kind of feels like, oh, a lot is like rising up, because I feel we're going into this really big year next year, because stuff having to be cleared out this year, that it's only logical that what goes away must come back in some greater form, in my mind. So tell me about like what you're getting from this year's energy, and like the message you felt around May as well. I felt also around May.
Yeah. 2025 has been a year for the books. And I won't categorize it as good, bad, being indifferent to it. But for myself personally, professionally, with folks that are in my world and that I've talked to, it has been a lot of change and a lot of letting go, but it feels like different letting go than we've been going through the last couple years, because Lord doesn't we've been letting go a lot over the last couple of years. It's just been constant, almost like this purging, or we could even say like these rebirth cycles, death and rebirth over and over and over and over. But 2025 has felt, if there's been things lingering or with you for a long time, where there's been those layers of letting go, or the layers of surrender, or the layers of acceptance, whatever that is, it feels like we've peeled it all off. Like it's just, if there's been residue, there's an awareness that the residue's there, and then you're just like brushing off your shoulder, done with that, and moving forward. So there is an excitement with that. Because once you've really gotten rid of, and once again, not to judge the things, but once you've really gotten rid of that excess heaviness or the residue, that's the true rebirth. Like you're clean, you're pure, you're clear, and more soulfully directed and guided. So we've needed this year, because it feels like there's been a lot of stuff, even from childhood, that folks, I will raise my hand, have been working years to get through. This appears to be the year where it's almost like it's been given permission to let go, but on a higher level, beyond our human and the stories and the fears, where it's like the souls are ready to, well, it's not the souls letting go, but the souls are ready to finally step into their radiance. And that's where we're going. So just as we're getting closer to 2026, like you can feel like the air feels lighter. Is it just me? It just feels like things are lighter. Specifically, even kind of moving into mid-September. There's been a shift energetically, and just, it's beautiful to see.
Yeah, I've been finding the same with clients, like a renewed hope in what they cannot see, which is like very exciting.
Can we highlight that? Renewed hope.
Right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that feeling um, of like maybe the stuff that we thought was too big is actually okay if we just slow ourselves down a little bit. I don't, this is an odd thing to bring up, but I didn't expect I was going to go here today. But I've been playing with the idea of like the perception of time and the reality of time lately. I've been writing a lot about this because it's one of these things that I think a lot of people let stress themselves out. And I think what we are stressed out about, we are sort of putting our hand up and saying, I don't want to hear it from spirit. And so, how do we help people like put those guards down? And one of them, I think, is understanding a bit more clearly or in a maybe wider context, just in a different way, like what time is like. And I think that it's possible for us to slow down our own perceptions of time, which means we can move time. You know,
Yes.
so all of these people who have felt like time is flying by this year, well, maybe there's a new pattern wanting to come in where we're actually in our lives in a more present way. And so we are therefore slowing down and then enjoying having more time because we're in it rather than sort of running from it or feeling pressured by it or trying to escape it, you know, or avoiding, right? Timely, as often does happen as well. So yeah, it's been an interesting concept kind of floating in, which I feel like is all due to us clearing away how things weren't working before in many ways for lots of people.
Well, and it's interesting too, because look at how much our society and systems are constructed around time or the construction of time. But when it's almost like being in time and out of time because we've got the constructs of time that we're forced into with calendars and, schedules and just this quote unquote normal state of life, even with folks working 9 to 5 jobs and everything is set in time. But then we're souls and these spiritual beings that are outside of time. So it's fun to kind of play with that, because I've been joking a lot of blinking and 2025 2025 is almost over, but at the same time, there's been for myself personally so much presence. Like 2025 is probably one of the years, and sometimes by choice, sometimes it feels forced presence, but where I've been fully in human, like the human experience and being in it and breathing in it, crying in it, embracing all of it, enjoying it, even though it's felt like I've blinked and it's almost 2026.
I think a lot of people will resonate with that. And yeah, I can certainly say similar in some ways. Like I feel like I've had all these moments that have felt slow and in my humanness and in my heart as well. And then yet it's like I was saying this before we were chatting, like just so much has also happened. It is tough to believe, but I also feel like one of the things hopefully that collectively we're letting go of in this big year is letting go of the need to see things in order to believe them. Like truly, that really we are starting to understand much more about the unseen realm. And I think the elevation of like AI and internet usage has actually like helped us with this in some way, is like to have a better concept that not everything, like we actually don't physically see money the same way we used to, and so we can believe it's still there, right? It's a very strange thing, but I think we're sort of like becoming warmer to the idea that we don't have to see everything in order for it to exist. And so that's a helpful thing, I think, when we are in the spiritual context. Maybe not so easy for some people with, their budgets and things, to not see your money. I'm sure it can also feel like it slips through people's fingers by not seeing it the same way we used to hold it in a jar, like an actual
Yeah.
or something, I kind of miss having a piggy bank. That was fun times. Did you have a
Oh, I've got a change jar, girl.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
I'm
love
like,
that.
where is this change going? Ah.
saving for a trip. It always had like
Yeah.
a fund or like some trip or something on it.
Well, and you know what? That helps to build the trust, what you had just said, because think of being in these spaces of transformation or being in the unknown, and especially like if we're speaking to the 80% that are just dipping their toes in and exploring, the more that we are open to, how do I want to say it? The more that we are open to the fact that we are physical, but at the same time spiritual beings, that there are these supports around us that might be unseen, that we can't see, that it's not necessarily, a little mug that you can hold, but the more that you're open to that or the possibility of that, and the more that you potentially take these leaps of faith, or just when you get those little nudges or you explore, shoot, I don't think I can do this, but I feel inside my whole being I have to, and you follow those nudges and see that the world doesn't end. We can say that because sometimes your world might implode, but the world does not end. And then you come out in a different way too. So that can help to solidify the trust, which then in turn, when change comes or transformation comes, it might be scary, but it's not debilitating. The fear doesn't stop you. So that's really important. And how do we build the trust? How do we strengthen the trust? We have to do the things. You have to go out. Yeah, you have to go out on the limb. You have to potentially push yourself out of the comfort zones. And I'm hearing like that practice. The more that you do something, the more that the trust builds too.
It's true. And like I wish that there was another way. I wish I could just give people like quick.
The magic wand.
Yeah, but like, I built this 6 week trusting your visions program, right? That starts right after our transformation podium. I built it literally just thinking, well, how could I give someone all the tools to practice and see it and do it and to keep reminding in a 6 week time to at least trust yourself more than you did coming in. But of course, it is the evidence of seeing how over time things work if you allow more, right? Like that, I don't know. It does it. All of the things that I've put in that journey are to help people open up and to help people, build that trust system and see evidence of it. But I really do think like that is what we are so used to. So that it will have to be a part of how people build in the beliefs. And so how does that happen? You've got to give it a chance, right? How do you give it a chance? You need to open up and say yes to doing it, or to like try anyway and see yourself fail 3 times before your best thing picks up.
That word fail is so fun because there's such a negative connotation to it. And I don't know. And like I'll label things as fail too, but sometimes like it's in those moments where things didn't work out the way you wanted them to or you thought you would. Like that's where you're learning the most. So it's like, is it a failure? We could call it that, or is it the best freaking learning opportunity ever to pivot? Oh, I embrace quote unquote failing. I invite it in. I don't want to have those moments all the time, but like I welcome them far more now. Like this is easy to say now than maybe when I first started my business or just life in general. But yeah, we can learn so much from those moments.
Absolutely. I know my father years ago when I was leaving, I think I was leaving college, and I was saying something about um, not being sure what I was like doing because I felt like I knew I wasn't going to stay. I took film and I knew I wasn't going to stay in film by that point because I had all these dreams about tiny house living and having a retreat. And, so like my life now, basically, which is like leading retreats. I just finished living on a retreat center property. I lived nomadically the last year. It's all the stuff I was dreaming about a decade ago, in a time where I was like, oh my gosh, all is lost. I'm panicking. I have no idea what to do. I'm doing all the wrong things to achieve anything. I can't do what I thought I wanted. I can't do what I actually want now. All of that was coming in. my father said, "Oh, Kate, I can't wait for you to get out into the world. You need to make more mistakes." Like he was like inviting me. He really thought that was what I needed most. And I actually thought, wow, that is so wise, truly, because I had spent my whole upbringing really trying to overachieve and trying to do the best and trying to be perfect. And he saw right through the idea that that actually wasn't helpful. Oh, you just need to go make some mistakes. It was like so freeing that he would say that to me, you know. I think back to it now, like it's so wise. Yeah, it is so important and like a necessary part of just finding what you most need is like
Yeah.
throwing things at the wall and seeing what doesn't stick is actually really helpful information. I always say
Yeah.
like rejection is divine redirection. We're just being
Yes.
course corrected into a way better, like you're taking the scenic route instead. It's going to be so much nicer. You just thought you needed the highway because you were going to save time. Well, it turns out you had the date wrong the whole time. So if you have the date wrong, go take the scenic route, right? You get there less stress. You've had helpful farmer markets along the way that give you your nourishment. You know, you're not eating fast food because that was your only option. Like you don't know why it's taking you in that direction, but just enjoy the ride. enjoy, you know? Yeah.
And if the direction changes, because sometimes we can be creatures of habit and really it's like not, and I'm listening to this as I say it, not resisting the changes, not resisting that now GPS, you thought you were going one way and it's like, actually, we're going this way. Really being open to that because we can block. Well, if things are going to happen, they're going to happen anyway in whatever way they happen, but we can block some of our blessings in different ways when we really have heels dug in of trying to control. So just to be open to that. Yeah, that's been my 2025 in many different ways, business wise, just like really allowing the shifts to be as graceful as possible, but yeah, letting go of things that you might not be in alignment anymore. It's almost like letting go so that you can open up to receive more, even though we don't see that in the moment.
And if you did, you really wouldn't work for it. If you saw it, you wouldn't actually put the real faith work in to like,
Woo!
you know what I mean? Like, because if you,
What's required?
yeah, exactly. Like, you know, and because people they'll often kind of like say, you know, oh, they really see what I'm doing. Oh, you're so like brave and courageous. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
no, I totally trust that it's happening. So I don't have to be brave for
Yes.
something. So actually, no, I don't I don't feel I know what they're saying. I do get it. Like I totally get where it comes from. But in the experience I have now, it really feels like it's a sure thing because the visions have sent it through. So for me to question it is actually just for me to feel very uncomfortable for little reason. And over time that happens. Over and I think we can choose that at any time. So if you were early on your journey and this sounds great, you can actually choose for that to be your belief system if this feels comfortable. And it probably will save you a lot of time. So hooray for you.
Yes.
I didn't have someone in my 20s telling me this. So to be fair, it may not take you any time at all. If you just like what this sounds like,
Yes.
just use it. Use it,
Please.
right? It does take the trust. It takes the choice of trust. So time or not, but it takes the choice of trust. That is like this effort of choosing beyond the unseen, which is like what we're all about, basically, when we do this kind of work.
And we don't need to know all of the next steps. We don't have to be ready. I feel like that is just, gosh, that can be a buzzkill in its own of like waiting till you're ready. I gotta be ready. I need X, Y, and Z put in place.
Yeah.
When we're working in the realm of spirit and just opening ourselves up to receive what is there waiting for us already. Have to say that again. Waiting there for you to say yes. Yeah, you don't need to be ready. You don't need whatever you think you need to be ready.
Knowledge. You don't need to know how it works before doing it. It's actually
It's the
crazy.
willingness.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
So many people just stay stuck in the, well, I'll believe it when I know more. Okay, well, how are you going to know
Oh,
more unless you choose to do more?
yeah. How many certificates do you need to
Oh,
actually become a practitioner? You know,
absolutely.
so they're valid, mind you, but sometimes that's the saboteur. You know, I need this. I have to have this. And it has nothing to do with that. If what you're being guided towards, this is so important to stress, what you're being divinely guided towards is waiting for you. It's not going to evade you. It might not come in your timing or the way that you think it will, but it's there waiting for you to say yes.
Yes. Oh, that's like a perfect place for us to end this.
Yes.
It's actually just like, that's enough. That's our profound ending.
Mic drop.
They're waiting. It is there waiting. That is always what it feels like. That's what Oracle Mountain has felt like actually this whole time. It's always, they're waiting for us to rejoin on it. Tara messaged me the other day and I was saying like, oh, I've just been waiting for some messages back. Feels like a time where everyone's kind of doing their thing. And she was like, thanks so much for holding the line. And this is kind of like
Yes.
my job. It's like over on Oracle Mountain, standing there. And it was such a perfect, like, full circle moment. I went, yeah, I did feel a little bit alone on my mountain going, hello, hello out there. And I really felt it. But here again, I see Tara's like, don't worry, I'm always up there. Like, girl,
Yeah.
I'm bringing the party drinks. Like,
Yeah.
don't you worry, I'll be right there. And so, it's comforting that actually we have these acknowledgments of like these things that exist outside of ourselves. So I love that you are going to help more people when we meet again on Oracle Mountain for the transformation podium. I'm so excited to see what you bring. It's always very activating what you bring. I think when people sit into that sort of gentle receiving place, they're going to get a lot out of listening to you speak on your pillar. And of course, with every podium event, we have all the speakers. We start with ceremony, we have all the speakers, and then we have a live readings portion where we give insights and share things. So you might be sharing some from your oracle deck, me.
Yeah.
And so then we will do sound healing at the end or some sort of embodiment or integration practice to feel like we've landed this in ourselves. So it's this whole journey that we go on together. And then the pillars go into the earth and we're back on Oracle Mountain again in this sort of even space. So during all of our celebration times and our podium times, all these pillars rise up and Terra Kenzie will be there with the Heart Alchemy pillar. So thank you very much for joining us. And then you'll be in the big OracleFest as well,
Yeah.
January, which is such a vibe and such a celebration of the inner oracle within all of us. So I'm just grateful for you continuing to be a part of this journey, and for people to hear more from you. So yeah, to tell people, come on out, come on out. We stream it live on the YouTube. But then we have actually people can join as well behind in order to ask questions in the live readings or to be in the Zoom room with everyone.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for having me be part of this. And thank you to the community and just planting that seed of remembrance of that which you are seeking, that which you are desiring is already there waiting for you. And are you going to say yes? And perhaps joining us in November is a yes and an opening of the door, walking through it, joining at the larger event. But I gotta stop. It's just like, say yes.
Yes. Say yes. Say yes to all the callings. And
Yeah.
waiting for you.
Lots of love.
Thank you.
Bye.